I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Marc Guberti. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am doing awesome. How about you?
I'm excellent, my friend. Thanks for asking. I am excellent. What part of the world are you in right now?
I am in New York right now.
All right. New York. Well, it's a great pleasure to connect with you, Marc. Please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
We connected on LinkedIn originally.
Right. And you don't believe in talent? Is that what it is? You don't have talent?
LinkedIn was definitely a part of how we were able to communicate, but one of the main reasons people come across me is because of the content that I produce through my blogs and through my books as well.
Yeah. What about the podcast? You're leaving out the podcast, right?
I am the host of the Breakthrough Success podcast, where I interview people every week. I'm aiming to make that a daily podcast at some point as well.
Wonderful. There we go. Wow. How could you leave the podcast out, Marc? All right. So tell me about the podcast work that you do that is connected to the blogging that you do as well, please.
So the podcast is really great for me because I get to interview a lot of people and learn a lot of new things. The reason I left out the podcast is because I've been really deep into my book lately. So I've been thinking more about the content that I've actually been writing versus the content that I do through audio and video. So all the podcast episodes also get published on my blog, and I also write a weekly blog post in addition to a weekly podcast episode, which, as mentioned before, will eventually evolve into a daily show.
Yeah, which is good. You've been working, haven't you?
Yes, definitely.
So who did you learn the skills necessary to do what you're doing via the both mediums, blogging and podcasting?
Well, I would say that I'm continuing to develop these skills, and I feel like anyone with skills in anything is continuing to develop them. That's how you eventually become a master in the area. So for writing, Seth Godin was a big influence for me, not just for writing, but also for pursuing my entire journey of entrepreneurship. And for podcasts, I've listened to a lot of EO Fire episodes and some of Chandler Bolt's episodes as well, just to get an idea of like how to interview people. EO Fire was especially useful in the beginning because I was able to see like what types of questions I need to be asking, how to have a conversation with someone. And one thing that I did was, like, again, interviewing people is amazing because you get to learn a lot from them. So I made it a point to interview a lot of people who not only fit within the whole podcast purpose, but also to interview people who had podcasts as well, and then I could ask them for advice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Wow, you're definitely the smart guy. So you're out there, you're doing the work, you're being strategic. Now that you've actually released so much content, why will you continue, Marc?
I'm going to continue releasing content because I love creating the content that I create, and I know that it's empowering people. So to be able to enjoy my work and know that it's helping others, that is a really awesome situation that I'm in, and I want to continue on that path and to a greater degree also being able to expand my message and help even more people.
And the day that you feel as though you need to stop, you should have this podcast at probably like 5 minutes and just hit repeat and listen to it. Fair enough?
Okay.
So you could hear yourself saying why I'm going to repeat this. Is that fair enough?
I do enjoy writing the content. I mean, sometimes like if you work too much, it can start to wear on you. So I make it a point to take a day off a week and get a lot of exercise in because that allows me to come back feeling more energized. If you don't have the energy, it's not going to work out for you because you're not going to have that drive to do the things, even if you really love them. Like the way you eat impacts your energy. The way you just handle yourself on and off of your work impacts your energy. So the moment that I'm not enjoying it, I need to take a step back, read a book because I really enjoy reading books, and that puts me back into the right frame of mind to enjoy the work. I mean, I do love the work overall. There are just some days are rougher than others, and on a really rough day, you just need to take that step back to be able to re-engage attentively and with a desire towards your work.
I totally agree. Well, do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
One of the other things that I really love doing is building relationships. I mean, that again is with the podcast, and something consistent over the past 3 years. That would be just writing all the blog posts that I've been writing the books. I mean, I've been consistent with the podcast, but that's only been a little over a year. So something consistent for 3 years is just producing content with a very strong focus on written content.
Yeah, I got to listen to the podcast. Great material there. The person you interviewed was Debbie Drum, I believe. How to speed read, yeah, basically, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, great stuff. You listen. I think it's so important to listen in a conversation. So, how does it make you feel, Mark?
To listen?
Well, to be producing the content that you've been producing consistently.
Well, it does. It definitely feels amazing knowing that I'm producing content that people are going to learn from. It's going to help people level up in one way, whether it's a monumental leap for some people or just a little like extra step. Just knowing that people are moving up. And with the podcast, and you definitely know this as well, being able to interview people who are very successful, who are making a really big impact. And I mean, it's an honor to be able to interview these people, and then you share that with your audience. So I know that with every single episode I publish, like for instance, in one of my episodes, I interviewed Seth Godin, who's actually my role model. So that was really awesome. But I know there are a lot of people who would want to ask him questions. There are a lot of people who would want to be in the position I'm in to be able to interview someone like Seth Godin. So when I think about like how the episode's going to go, I think about what those people would want to say, and I think about what I would want to say. And it's just really amazing to be able to provide that level of value and meet all these awesome people.
So how does it make you feel, Mark?
It makes me feel amazing.
There we go. And why would you suggest someone do what you've done by creating a platform, if you would, that helps you? That definitely helps you, like you said it, right?
Yes, platform's important.
Yeah. So suggest to someone out there that's listening why they should even consider doing it.
The reason that a platform is important, and I'll go specific, like the email list is the most important platform for you. And like in Facebook, for instance, there's a time where you could get a lot of organic traffic, but Facebook has increasingly changed the rules where a very small number of people organically see your posts, and they are creating a pay to play atmosphere. And this is the typical path of most social networks because they need to make money in order to stay in business. It's just part of the business. So the email list, though, is completely yours, and that allows you to continue to promote your content like blog posts and podcasts to that email list, and being able to get a consistent flow of traffic to your content. So that's why the platform is very important. It keeps people engaged in what you're doing and gives them more places to find you.
Love it. Well, amazing audience. We are live with Marc Guberti, right? You could definitely check him out. He is the podcast host of Breakthrough Success. Mark, let's switch gears for a moment now, and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Mark, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is me on the deck on a summer day. That's all I really remember. Like, it's a little hazy, to be honest.
Yeah, how old do you think you were?
Probably like 4. It was really hazy. I don't know. I remember a lot now, but going back to remember, not really.
Why do you think this memory in particular is so clear?
I honestly don't know. Maybe it was just a nice day. That's really all I could think of.
Wonderful. Well, hey, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Sure, go for it.
I love the idea that when we were speaking during just a few minutes ago, you were talking about how necessary it is to rest, how necessary it is for you to disconnect, if you would, even if it's exercising but just disconnect from the thing you're doing. And it's intriguing to me that your awareness of a memory is one where you are relaxing and just being aware of the day, if you would. Rejuvenation, pretty amazing how that connects.
So the reason rest is important is because I recently read the book, The 5-Hour Workday. So this is going to kind of follow the flow of that. So we're increasingly moving in a world where the work is more mental than physical. And we can't mentally work for like 12 hours a day without sacrificing productivity and sacrificing results. So the reason that the rest is so important is because you are refueling yourself to get the best out of the minutes that you're working. There are some people who can work for like 3 hours a day and get more done than the person who's working for 8 hours a day, because there comes a point where I think it's like when you're working 60 hours a week, there comes a point where 2 hours equals 1 productive hour. So you have to eventually, as you put in more time, it takes longer for you to reach a desired outcome or longer for you to get a certain task done. So it's counterintuitive to just stockpile all of these hours, because you're really wearing down your mind, you're wearing down your willpower, and that's going to hurt you. So the way that you regain that willpower and you regain that high level of engagement in your work is you take that step away. You do some exercising, you read the book or something like that.
Mark, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I didn't listen to like a lot of songs like as attentively as I do now. I would have to say a song by Taylor Swift or a song by Katy Perry. I like both of those artists. I know they don't like each other, but I do like both of those artists.
Do you remember a song specifically?
To be honest, no. I was not as into like listening to them all as I am now.
It's cool. All right. Well, Mark, we have arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Mark?
I'm ready.
Mark, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
If you like count like my whole audience, then yes.
Are you married?
No.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I have a friend.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Maybe there.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Less.
Mark, after 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I came up with a workbook, the name of it being called Yours, which stands for Your Own Unique Real Self. The idea being you answer questions, go through the reflective self-discovery mode, and hopefully get to your mission, your own unique real statement, at least identifying it. Well, Mark, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Marc Guberti, what would you say that is?
Age is not a limit to success.
Love it. I love how you cleared your throat right there. Age is not a limit to success. Mark, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I just appreciate the time that I was able to spend here. And for people who want to learn more about me, you can head over to marcguberti.com. That is Mark with a C. And of course, you could check out the Breakthrough Success podcast on iTunes, where I've interviewed people like Seth Godin, Debbie Drum, as you mentioned earlier, and a lot of other people as well.
Love it. Marc Guberti, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.